Well, today's July 6, 2021. Hello, everyone. I'm just talking about a toenail that I had clipped it off, and that's how far I can clip it from here to here. This is the root of a toenail right here. All this was still loose. This is my second one that I went through because back in 2018 I had the same problem, and the toenail, when it was that part, I just left it alone and it just popped out on its own. It took 1 year ever since that got cut like that. About 9 months. It just popped out. Then I had the same thing last month, June 17th. I had the same problem with this toenail. As you see, it's gone. And I had a problem right here where I had to twist it out. I videotaped it, try to explain it as good as possible. I just hope the toenail don't grow back. I still got problem with my foot. And the reason why that happens is because I've been abused by a foot infection with torn up tissue. My top layer, my skin, disappear on me, was going down to my muscle area. Liquid pouring out. You can see my muscle fat, liquid getting deteriorated, as you see in this photo. As you see right here, how it was getting deteriorated. These are strings of my muscles falling apart. I can use this, like this cardboard, like this picture, and go across it and play it like a banjo or a guitar string, and it bounces, ding, 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 ding. When the strings were falling apart. As you see it real close, I have no top layer skin, and it's going down to the second layer where my muscle is. That's one deep pain. Nobody understands what kind of pain this is. I had this thing going on for 6 years. As I try to explain on the other video, I videotaped it, this one, just try to explain things about the affection of toenails and why it does that. Most of the time when it gets affected like this, your toenail turns yellow. And that's the, man, I keep telling you, that's the best part, to get rid of it. Because it softens up like cardboard. Like wet cardboard. You can just take it and just peel it right off when it turns yellow like that. I had that problem here. This is a photo of 2018. When I was in the hospital. This was when I was in the hospital. The picture's kind of cut short. I have to try to get that one in. And this is the year 2019, continued through 2020. During the pandemic, I had a fever, bronchitis, URL. I was actually dying on my own, falling unconscious, getting many heart attacks, chest pains. This one here was 2016, at the deepest moment of my life that I almost died, believe it or not. Could have died, I would have died, and I survived it through hypothermia, swollen, torn up tissues, and unconscious moment, blackouts. 2017. Due to this recovery and the pressure of pain and the stroke I had back in April 2017, while trying to finish up my work in the backyard, it was a little bit too much for me under my recovery while I had a stop breathing moment for 4 months recovering on it. I did not succeed too good. I almost died in there. I couldn't breathe. I had a stroke, seizure, or epilepsy of some kind. My throat bounced and it blocked my airway. Just to say something short, due to this and the 2016 foot recovery, I ended up with a stent implant in my left side of my heart. Gave me a serious problem. Within prior to a year after they did this, I ended up being diagnosed with pulmonary embolism due to the stent implant. It's a long story. I can actually explain why that happened, but I just need relax in a moment to explain how that happened. Fever has got one part of it. This is back in 2015 where it started. Back of my heel got deteriorated, ended up getting like an ulcer in it, one painful pain. My knees were about to crack, my legs were weak, and this is the now entry. How everything started with my foot, the environment I was in at my house, and I went through hell for 5 years. They put me through hell for 5 years. They didn't understand my pain. It was all chronic pain issue. It was getting to neurologists, neural pain, because it blocks me out and it puts me unconscious, and I was frozen half to death, blinded, and that's why I'm blurry blinded. I can't see that good, and I still got problem with my head of stiffness. I have ringing of the ear. I don't know what they call it, tinnitus. That's 24 hours every day. There's certain days it comes louder and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it lessens down. There's time I have to duck my head down because I keep thinking there are insects around me. That's what it sounds like. And that's because I had nothing but pressure and pain in my head. And I had a blackout heart failure caused by 1, 2, 3 things in life. 2 by 2 others, people, and one is because I kept continuing further on my foot wound, which I'm not supposed to be walking under this wound. Just to make something short, but that's how far I can clip this toenail, because all that's open space underneath it, and it just hangs there. So I clipped it off. This is the second time. I hope this falls out within a couple months. It's not ready, as you can see it, but you see, still dig down in there, too deep thickness, but it will come out eventually when I tamper with it and move it around for a little bit and loosen things up, like this one. I had a boo-boo right here earlier today. I was peeling this out right here. That's that part there, kind of bled. I got no toenails here. That's what it looks like, and I hope it doesn't grow back, but if it does, it takes 9 months after it's been removed. This one took 9 months, but I still have problem in my foot area here that it gets numbed out. Since November 2020, I don't know what in the world happened to me. I was vomiting 3 times a day. I went for a jog and I went blackout. I don't know what the heck happened there, and felt like I was dead. And then I had my 2 legs at the time, 2 legs numb, and my 2 arms numb, that I couldn't walk. I couldn't barely use my hands. My arm, this happened in November 2020, the numbness. You know, lucky I went to Oak Street Health October 1st, and I tried to explain that to them, what happened to me. And it was due because my upper teeth been removed, and I gave them a warning on that because I have a stent implant. Because I got that October 1st when I got all that removed, and the next following month, my whole body started getting numbed out, my whole legs. From my knee all the way down, my knees all the way down, from my elbows to my fingertips, both of them, all four at the same time in November. So I took a jog, and that's the reason why when I took a jog across the street, I explained that on video too, that something happened, that my mind flipped it on me, and I think that's due because of that recovery. A lot of people, I went through heck and hell for at the deepest end for 5 years since 2016, and it continues today. Just a lot of people just not too bright in their minds on this part, because this is all pain. A pain that you cannot take, and a pain that I know what I went through, you wouldn't even make it. And a lot of people like talking, criticizing it. You know, they say bad things about it. They think you're normal. They think you're not in pain, but they got it all wrong, and there always will be wrong, because I'm right, they're not. I'm the one who goes through the pain, not them. I already went that. I went through that. I fall unconscious more. 2020, more than 12 times, and 4 of them was one of the deepest end of my life that I thought I was about to go, but I struggled. I hanged on to it. It's all pain and suffering, and it still continues in today. Just because today's 2021, that doesn't mean that I'm better. I'm still going through heck with this. Believe it or not, it's been 5 years of this chronic pain issue. 5 years. It started 6 years ago, and due to that, prior to 2015, a couple years back, I already got hit by a car. Knocked the living crap out of my life. They think I wasn't in pain. My mind's affected. I can't barely talk, see. I can't see that good. I'm blurry blinded already due to hypothermia, chronic pain issue in my foot that knocked me out, put me unconscious, puts me on unresponses for a while. These people don't get it. Everything's not explained right to the doctor. Things are still being horse playing around, and they still continue their life as a normal living social. But I'm in my condition. I had bronchitis, URL, when I was diagnosed with my foot wound that passed me out. And I had a fever, and I had like COPD, couldn't breathe, all in 2020. And I passed out in the gas station. I had a trip and fall. Had to go to the hospital. I had swollen in my face. That took my whole right side, and it was whiplashing my top of my corner of my head, and bringing my illness of the fever back in March. That's when they broke into my house, and they stole all my brand new appliances that I had inside a box. 5 days later after that, I ended up going to the hospital, because I was out there in the cold, boarding up my house, and my bronchitis was returning back to me and swelled up my right face. Then 4 months later, I had another swollen, and there was a ball underneath my gum, so that was considered like tooth area part. But the first part of March wasn't. That was something serious that what I tried to explain to them, and they don't still understand it. So it affected my left side, and I got 6 teeth pulled out. Then my body went numb, and I gave them a warning. If they pull out my teeth, I still have pressure and pain in my head. I still have stiffness, cramp issue. I still had chest pain, heart attack issues. Like, they just don't make me go that quickly, but I suffered through the month out of it. That if they pull out my teeth, something will happen to me. And my system was getting worse, and that's where the numbness come in. and I had chest pain. And then in July 9th, I had a heart attack in the hospital during x-rays. After the x-rays, I went sat down and they shot me up in the hospital. My mind was like in a coma state. I started using the bathroom on myself during night. I was throwing up at 12 o'clock midnight, and during the morning, I had them runs all over me. And then they try to discharge me. That's still my complaint until today about that, just to say something short. My recovery I went through was hell. They put me through hell, and they just don't understand what the pain is, what the unconscious moment is. I lived in part dementia with pain, believe it or not. I still have a lot of problems. I still do until today, just because today's 2021, nothing changes. The only thing changes that the torn tissue part has healed up with big problem, because I have to monitor it. See how it gets right there? See, it's trying to get like it. Let me see if I can bring you daylight. And I have to monitor it and treat it and make sure it doesn't go bad. Here too. Yeah, I walk a lot on here. All this, I still get dead skin issue. The other day I peeled out a whole bunch of dead skin right here. My foot is dead. Tell you the truth, I still got problem. I still get pain in there. I still got weak legs. I still got hip pain, knee pain. And it all depends what I'm doing, because I don't do nothing. I had a long road of recovery for 5 years, and it continues, and it doesn't stop yet. Not even today. People are just selfish and nonsense and ignorant sometimes under my critical crisis. I try to seek for help. The help never came through. I got harassed, and it keeps continuing. My mind is not too bright, and I can't speak to anybody too much, or my head goes into a system overload of collapse. Just a lot of people don't understand that too much. Well, just to cut this short, thank you for viewing. And let's see what happens after that. I just want to discuss you about my toenail area, how it gets. When it gets affected like that, all these toes turns yellow. And that's the best time to peel them all out. You know, to take the infection out. It gets real bad. I just, you know, kind of happy I still got my foot though. Because I, personally, myself, me, myself, and I gave it I gave it a battle where it doesn't come to a system halt, where it did come to that, as you can see it here. And I did a good job so far, but a lot of pain and suffering I went through, a lot. Too deep of a pain and suffering. I try to put a lawsuit on certain individual, and like I said, dementia does take its part. I forget a lot. Sometimes I don't know the time and day in the month. The month passes by. Now I'll try to explain that to everybody after 5 years. It's worthless. Believe me, it's one worthless thing. It's one horrible, terrible, disgusting shit that I went through with this foot injury. Believe it or not. Well, thank you for viewing. August 6th, 2021.